Hello.
Hello, welcome back to Honey Do Me podcast. Why did I say it that way?
I don't know. Oop, my yen.
Oh,
I have foreign coins holding up my microphone and they just dropped.
I'm Cass,
And I'm Emma.
and this is Honey Do Me podcast, where we talk about sex, relationships, mental health,
Foreign
friendships, foreign currency, which this was probably the first time, but you know what? There's always a next time too. We're just really here to help you live a little bit more shamelessly, a little more confidently, because we are figuring that out as well.
Yeah, we are. I'm going to say something to bust through shame because I have a little bit of it, or I guess like embarrassment, and maybe it can help other people in my space. First time I actively viewed getting unmatched this weekend after I was already mid-conversation with a guy. That was really annoying.
You can unmatch?
Yeah, he messaged me first. We went back and forth. He asked me a bunch of questions. I told him what my weekend plans were. The night before, he was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so fun, because I was going to go to puppy yoga, lots of puppies. And he's like, send me pictures. And then the next morning, I went to show my friend who I'm currently chatting with, and poof, gone, unmatched. Isn't that so sad?
Yes, maybe he deleted his profile.
But why would you? Okay.
Because he found
I can
you.
see you. Because he found you. And if it's real, he'll find me in the real world.
He's like, this is it, and this is not our meet cute.
I'll find you. I'm going to find you. Wait for me. I know, but I was just like, oh.
That's rude. It's sad.
I know.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Did you say something weird?
No. The last thing was his message. I didn't message last.
Imagine you read it. You just said something so fucking weird. You're like, no.
No, not at all. I know. I don't know. Maybe, but he seemed down, and then all of a sudden, no. The trash tends to take itself out, but the stars bring themselves to us, which is why we were introduced to Mistress Damiana Chi, who is a kick-ass dominatrix, but she's also a doctor. She's like this incredibly well-learnt human being and also a powerhouse in the BDSM field. We had an amazing conversation with her about being a lifestyle dom and then also bringing the dom persona into the bedroom for people who have never tried it before, and how it can really like heal you from the inside out with practicing the skills that she's learned as being a dom.
Yeah, if you have a PhD and you peg people, I want to talk to you.
Wait, okay, we're so PhD, pretty huge dick. That's from, it's from Friends.
Oh.
You got a PhD? Yeah, pretty huge. And then it cuts.
Well, she's got both, right?
Yeah, she does. Fuck yeah, she does.
Sounds like she's got some big strap-ons.
Yeah.
We dive pretty headfirst into the lifestyle aspect of her dominatrixdom. Because it was so interesting. We realized that really isn't a facet that we've dived into in this podcast. And I'll be the first to admit, it made us a little uncomfortable at first, specifically the terminology that she uses. She uses the terms master and slave, which we've definitely heard those in the kink and BDSM community. I just don't think we've met anybody who says like they have slaves. And the only way we've heard that before is like in pretty dark historical and still
Context.
modern times. And so, we were uncomfortable and we asked a lot of questions about it. But what we were able to learn is that these are like very consensual, like positive positions. People are wanting to be in these positions together. So it was just really fascinating, but also a little alarming to hear those words. But she describes all of it, and I think she does a way better job of it than I do. So
we so rarely get to dive into the actual lifestyle of someone who lives out like kink and BDSM. You know, we talk about it for a novice, for a vanilla person. But like the last time we talked about like being a lifestyle dom, what is the male version?
A dom?
A
dominator? I don't know. A dominator?
What was Sir Ezra? Oh my God. That's it's like escaping my brain, but
I
it's
don't
just
know.
been a long time since we've been able to just ask questions. And Mistress Damiana was just so receptive to all of our like clarification and then fully explaining herself and really going into how this is a mutually beneficial relationship, and just how beautiful that is. And so we're really excited for you to hear it, and we got a ton out of it. So we're excited.
Yeah, and we'll see you on the other side of it.
Sure
Okay,
will.
bye.
Bye. Nope.
My name is Mistress Damiana Chi, and I've been a professional dominatrix now for this is my 26th year. So, long time. I've been a lifestyle dominatrix for close to 30 years. And I have a PhD in clinical psychology, a master's in counseling psychology. I am a kink centered sexologist. I also run an academy called the Evolutionary Dominatrix Academy, where I mentor women all around the world how to become a dominatrix or how to become a even better dominatrix by using the framework that I've developed called the Dominatrix Archetypes. So that's basically what I
That's
do.
basically it. I just run the world. That's basically it. That's so awesome. Well, we're so excited to chat with you today and can't wait to dive into all the different facets of what it means to be a dominatrix and how that can heal you or heal others. But can we start with a first like basic definition of what BDSM is and what a dominatrix is?
Sure. So BDSM is an acronym and it stands for bondage and discipline, sadism and masochism. And then the two middle initials inside the big acronym, there's like an acronym inside an acronym, DS, that stands for dominance and submission. And so what I do as a dominatrix is the person that's on the dominant end of things, and a dominatrix is a woman. So anything with a trix at the end of it is female. So and there is a difference between a dom and a top. Just like there's a difference between a sub and a bottom. So usually dom sub, um, like what I do and what I teach is domination. So it's different from topping. So domination is all about psychology. Like that's where the fun stuff is. Um, you know, I always say that the biggest, and many people say this, the biggest sex organ in BDSM is the mind, not the body parts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where kink lives. It's in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us some examples of what like being a dominatrix could look like?
Well, like the classic dominatrix wears like, like a black cat suit, and she's carrying a whip, looking like Catwoman. That's what a classic dominatrix looks like in sort of like popular culture and movies and things like that. Like thigh high boots, corsets, that sort of thing. And, usually it's like latex or leather materials, sometimes PVC. So, what a dominatrix does is she dominates her submissives, and sometimes they're called slaves. That's the fantasy of being a slave. When there's a fantasy of being a slave, like a client can walk in and say, "I want to be your slave for an hour, and so treat me like a slave." Or there's actual real slaves, like I own real slaves in real life. Like I have personal slaves. And so the term slave is not a negative term. It's not what you think about in in history and things like that. It's not that kind of slave. It's actually a positive term in our world of femdom, which stands for female dominatrix or female dominance. So in our world, if you are my slave, it's a very like sought after position. Like it's a real privilege to be my slave. So I don't know if that's a quick enough definition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess I'm so interested in the specifics. Like, what do you do to one of your slaves?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what I do to my slaves is different from what I do to like a client. So I've been a professional dom for over 2 decades, which means I'll have people come and see me as a client, and they pay me for like, that that period of time, a couple hours of being my slave. And so in that sort of scenario, we do a role play where I will role play being, their dom, and they're my slave and they're my property. And so I train them, slave train them. And that could go through like, corporal punishment. I'll do something with physical pain, or I might do something with mental pain, like humiliation or something like that. And so I can go through more of a session like a little later if you want me to describe that in detail.
Oh, yeah.
But what I do to my my personally owned slaves is different. Well, not that different, but they serve me. That's the difference. They serve me in my personal life, like whatever needs I have, then they take care of those needs. And I have so many, I have so many needs for so many different types of slaves. I had a slave clean my rugs here last night to prepare it for my 3-day workshop that I've going on here. I have a slave who is my secretary because I need one who is very good at administrative type of duties, for my academy. I have another slave who's my graphic artist and does like video editing and things like that. I have another slave who's like my kind of like my handyman and works at my house and does things like, fixes things and puts my Christmas lights up when it's Christmas time. They take my cat to the vet. They've done that. They've taken my cat to the vet if that's needed, anything. So anything I need some help with, because I do live a very busy life, that's what my slaves do for me. But I do play with them too. Like I'll do an actual session, like I just described, like with a client. I'll do a formal session, like here and there, whenever I want, basically.
Okay. And so if you have, for your personal slaves, is that a part of being a lifestyle dom?
Yes.
And do they live with you? Is this like, or
No.
are they kind of like contractors?
Yeah, they don't live with me. They don't live with me. Like I know plenty of doms who have live-in slave type relationships, and usually they are like their husbands or spouse, like that. They're usually like that. But no, my slaves are not live-in because I live with my family. I have 2 daughters, 2 cats, 2 dogs. I live a very vanilla life outside of my my mistress life. So I have sort of like a double, not sort of, I have a double life.
Yeah. Like the dark side of Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
So in like your lifestyle dom situations, are you both getting sexual pleasure from like somebody taking your cat to the vet? Like, are they getting sexual like not from like the actual act, but I think you get what I'm saying.
No, that's a very good question though. Like people are like, what do they get out of that? Like, is it hot for them? Taking my cat to the vet? No. So taking my cat to the vet and doing sort of like servitude type duties, their sort of motivation for doing that is just pure servitude. It's pure like love for me, basically. And I'm sort of like, they see me as like their queen in a way, and they're serving their queen, and they get joy out of making me happy and making my life easier and better and things like that. So, like when I took a course a long, long time ago, it was a course from Alison Armstrong. She studied men. She studied men for like 40 years or something like that. And so she went through and she somehow discovered that men have a primal need to serve women. Like they want to get that thing off that high shelf for you.
I would love to find these men.
What's that?
I would love to find these men.
I mean, if like these types of men who do these types of things for women are actually very they don't have like their ego is less in the way. You know what I mean? Like if their pure nature was revealed, then they would love to serve you in those ways to make you happy. If there's something keeping them from doing these types of things, it's something ego related. It's not from that pure place of wanting to make someone happy. There's something else, in the way, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so actually, my submissives, I see them as very evolved men. Like they're very evolved, and have you heard? You know, in the Greeks, ancient Greeks, like they categorize specific types of love. Like there's all different types of love. Like there's eros for romantic love, and there's platonic love and things like that. So my slaves have a selfless love for me, which is that word is it's the agape love. It's the higher, more spiritual type of love. And so that's why I see them as, I see them as very, very evolved, like spiritually developed, even though they don't like, have some sort of spiritual practice. They don't need to, but I think they've got their hearts in the right places,
That's beautiful.
because I'm not mean to them. I'm mean to them in scene, like in a hour, 2 hour, 3 hour time block where we're playing. I'm mean and cruel, and I'm treating them in all kinds of ways because we can let our freak flags fly during scenes, right? But in a regular like lifestyle type of dynamic where they're just serving me in the day-to-day life, I thank my slaves. I tell them how much I appreciate them and things like that. But from a very dom standpoint, like I'm not saying to them, "Oh my gosh, oh, that's so great of you. I'm so glad that you did this for me. Wow, that was so great." I'm not doing that. I'm saying, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for doing this for me. You just made my life so much easier by doing this for me. I stay in my domness when I'm appreciating them. And that's what they want. They want me to stay in my domness. They don't want me to sort of like lower myself and be their equals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's these 4 archetypes that I describe in my book, and one of them is the queen archetype, and that's the one I'm elevated. Like I'm elevated above them in like in a status sort of way, and that's where they want me. They want me above them. That they find that sexy. They find that hot. They find that's they want a woman they want to that they can look up to. So
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I live the queen in day-to-day life, as well as I am the queen in the session too. But that's the one that I bring outside of scenes, and I am all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. How do you? Okay, this is my last like slaves question. I'm just so fascinated, and we've never dove in with
ask me
dominatrix. How do you find people that you want to have as your like lifetime slave outside of subs that come in for the scene? Like, how do you find that partnership?
Oh, that's a very good question, because people, people write to me all the time. "Oh, can I be your slave? Or can I work in your workshop as one of your sub coaches?" Because I have submissive coaches in my academy who I've chosen to be in my academy teaching. It's a very high level type of an academy. And I always say, there's actually, there's no way you can get in. It's not like that. It's, they get chosen by me in a very organic way. I don't interview people for a position. It just sort of evolves into that.